This is a great quote from George Carlin. I went to a bookstore and asked the salesperson, "Where's the self-help section?" She said if she told me it would defeat the purpose. So maybe that's kind of relevant today. So we're following this up with there's no real excuse, and I started looking at the definition of responsibility. And some of the definitions are, responsibility, you assume command, you accept the consequences of your own action. And that's where we come to the story of Rick Sharp. And if you remember, Rick started out as a daytime TV actor in Hollywood. And he had a couple cameo spots on Chips, season 4, episode 3, I think it was. And also on Growing Pains. Does anybody remember Growing Pains? Now here's Rick. You remember him. So Rick kind of had a 20-year drought, which is a long time. And if you think about it in Hollywood, that's probably a very short time when you think about childhood actors. But when Rick was at the peak of his career, he started to get really sad. And after he was a sad person. After each season of Growing Pains ended, he'd lock himself in his Hollywood Hills cottage and wouldn't come out for weeks. And he started to get really depressed because he was sad. And he claimed that Hollywood gave him seasonal affection disorder. At the end of each season of Growing Pains and Chips, he got really sad because he wasn't as busy and didn't know what to do with his time. And it was difficult for him to work on a new project. He needed a break. So he was really sad, and people didn't know what that was when he said, I can't take that job. I'm so sad right now. And they just look at him with dismay. So no matter what happens, excuses are always there to be used. And if you refuse to rely on excuses, people will notice and admire you for it. By not being prepared, you make the choice of being caught in life's unpleasant circumstances. If you carry an umbrella 3 days a week and it rains on the 4th, whose fault is it that you get caught in the rain? Kurt Schmidt's, that son of a gun. He told me it wasn't going to rain today. That's why I left my umbrella at home, right? Rain, failures, professional losses, it's our choice not to be prepared. Lots of different people try to define success, and I read something this morning that success is what you reach on the way to the goals you've set out for yourself. If your goal is to make a lot of money, retire, and then go live in the woods and feed the birds for the next 20 years of your life, and you do that, have you been successful in doing that?
Yeah.
You can say yes. People associate success with lots of different things. And all success is doing what you planned out to do. And it's hard to do that if you're not prepared, because the opportunities come at you all the time. And you don't know if you should seize them if you're not prepared for them. And this was another great quote that I read. It's in our own best interest to stay on top of things. Just because you delegate something doesn't release you from completing the task or project, especially if it's going to affect your future. Even when we delegate things, if you're ultimately responsible for the one turning that in, it's your responsibility to make sure that the person you delegate it to does it. Just with anything. How do you accomplish this? We are the only species on the planet that can change whenever you want. You don't have to fly south every year for the winter. You don't have to go west every summer. You can change. You can change every 5 years if you want. If you don't like what's happening, you can change. You can change, and life will change for you when you do that. It'll change for you when you get better. And I really like this one. When you stop waiting, hoping that someone will change it for you. Stop waiting for things to change and hoping somebody will turn you on, because if nobody ever shows up, you won't get turned on. And there are lots of great ideas along the way. I love this quote from John Maxwell. A winner is big enough to admit his mistakes, smart enough to profit from them, and strong enough to correct them. It's not easy to admit when we make mistakes, and I make a lot of mistakes along the way. And you'd be surprised when you think about some of the other people in our business that make mistakes all the time. Why are people still doing business with them? How are they still getting clients? They're big enough to admit a mistake, and they're honest, and they're smart enough to figure out how to profit from it, and they still try to change and correct and learn from what they've done. Start taking full responsibility for the things that happen to you, and accept responsibility to reach your own destiny. Again, success is just working towards the goals you've set, whatever they are. Success is not defined by a monetary amount or an amount of time. If you've set out to do something and you do it, then you've been successful. That's something to celebrate. But if you're not feeling successful or feeling like you're reaching your goals, then think about some simple changes you need to make. Y'all have the ability to do all of that. And we try to offer you with opportunities to learn how you can make changes for your own business, for your own life, because that's what it's about getting ahead, making the right changes at the right time, and being prepared. So when the opportunity comes, you're capable of seizing it. Does that make sense? Appreciate y'all being here today. Sorry that Rick Sharp could not physically be here. Don't be sad. You know, there are lots of seasons throughout the year, through your personal life, your professional career, but being sad about them is not something you should be. Hope y'all have a great morning, and we'll stick around if y'all have any questions. Thanks for being here.